Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Stupendous Wave, and in this video we'll be doing why Star Wars Episode 7 is already better than the prequels. Now, I realize that's kind of a drastic title considering we haven't even seen Star Wars Episode 7 yet, and I realize that, but I just want to share my thoughts with you guys on why I think this movie already seems better than the prequels did, and I do have some thoughts lined out, and I hope that you guys do agree. But before I start, I would like to say I actually don't mind the prequels. I actually really enjoy them. I think Episode 3 is actually a pretty good movie. The other two have their problems, but I can still find enjoyment in it because they're Star Wars, and it really did expand the lore, which I do appreciate. And George Lucas, I think that he is a very good director. He just needed to be reined in a little bit. But overall, I would say that the Star Wars prequels are a good time. They don't live up anywhere near to the original trilogy, and that's kind of where the problem lies. People's expectations might have been too high, but just want to get that out of the way. I do not hate the Star Wars prequels like a lot of fans do. I actually do find enjoyment, and as I said, I think that Star Wars Episode 3 is a good movie, and I can really enjoy it when I watch that. Now, with that being said, here are my reasons why I think that Star Wars Episode 7 is already better than the prequels. So, we've seen two trailers for Star Wars Episode 7, and so far they're looking really good. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off with some of the reasons. Number one, practical effects. They've made a huge emphasis on this. BB-8 is a practical effect, which is awesome. I mean, that on its own looks great. We've seen set photos. They have real, like, X-Wing models there. They have a real Millennium Falcon model there. And this is fantastic because people get to... the actors get to actually interact with what's on screen with them. It's not just staring into like a green nothingness like a lot of the things were in the prequels. Like there's the clone troopers in the prequels are all CGI. There's no practical effects there, but in this movie we do know that there are a ton of real people in real stormtrooper outfits, and I love that because it just looks better and it gives people the opportunity to interact with each other rather than just looking out into nothingness. And I love the fact that there are actual practical environments here, because a lot of the times in the prequels it looks good and it still holds up today as very good CGI. Even though those movies are getting older, you can still kind of tell that they're just walking on a blue screen and there's nothing to interact with. And that's something that I feel is a big problem in the prequels, and that has been fixed here. We have practical effects, real costumes, and real characters that can interact with each other, and I absolutely love that. So my next point is returning cast members relevant to the story. Now, I know Anthony Daniels returned for the prequels and Frank Oz as Yoda for the prequels as well, and Anthony Daniels is returning for this movie as well. But I feel like all of the returning cast members are most. Yoda is of course relevant to the prequel story, but not as relevant as like Han Solo is for this movie, and how Luke will be for this movie, and Leia. These characters are going to have a big role, and there are reasons for them to come back, and that's something I really like. These are the original cast members. These are the people that were here from the beginning and really know how to make good movies at this point. We know Mark Hamill's a great actor, a great voice actor, and Harrison Ford, man, the guy is legendary. So really, these returning cast members is a really good sign for Star Wars Episode 7, and of course them being relevant to the story. And just the nostalgia level, when we saw Chewie and Han on screen in the second trailer, everyone freaked out. It blew all the effects out of the water, and just the fact that now we know that just seeing these characters on screen as Han and Chewie again really just emotes a fantastic emotion out of all of us, and I cannot wait to see them in the actual movie. But just one shot, if that's how we feel of just one shot of these characters, imagine how we'll feel when they have really good relevance to the story and when they're back in full force. My next point is no one person with creative control. Like I said, George Lucas is solely responsible for Star Wars. Well, maybe not solely responsible, but he is the brainchild for Star Wars. And I think that when he has creative input but not creative control, I know he's not involved with these movies, but when he had creative input but not full control in Empire and Jedi, which are two films that I actually find better than A New Hope or just Star Wars, and he did solely direct Star Wars, but I feel like he is best as kind of an advisor, someone that doesn't have full control, because no one really reined him in and said, you know what, Mr. Lucas, those ideas that you have for the prequels, some of them are really good, some of them can be trimmed down because there's a lot of fat in the story that we can get rid of, and I think that if they had someone there that would have said that, we would have ended up with worthy Star Wars movies that would have said, these are really good ideas, I really like how Ewan McGregor is playing Obi-Wan, or Darth Maul's a cool character, but maybe we need to flesh him out more, maybe the villains need a little bit more screen time, or here maybe you're making Anakin a little bit too unlikable. I think that that's really something that's important. I think that directors should have a lot of creative control, but not full creative control, because it does get out of hand, and the prequels is a fantastic example for that, of people getting out of hand when they have a story to tell. My next point is a competent director. J.J. Abrams is a very, very good director, despite what people say. I feel like he does a very good job. He's very good at composing shots. I really do enjoy both Star Trek movies and a lot of the stuff he's done before, of course with his work on Lost. I just feel like he's very competent, and of course a lot of practical effects, which I do like as well, and I really am a big fan of the way he shoots his movies. I think it's very unique, very interesting to look at. Even when characters are talking, they're still interesting to look at, and I feel like we're even getting some of that with Star Wars Episode 7 with what we've seen from the trailers, when the Millennium Falcon kind of flies into that wasteland of the other ship and it's being pursued by a TIE fighter. That's a wonderful shot, and I love that. I feel like the prequels don't have interesting shots, and now that we have a really competent director that's really more used to directing films than George Lucas was, I feel like we're going to get a real treat with the cinematography in this movie and the shots. Next, I have an unpredictable story. One thing that hurts all prequels, or most prequels, is that we know where the characters end up, or for a lot of it. We knew that Anakin was going to end up in the Darth Vader suit, and we knew that Obi-Wan was going to end up a hermit, and that the Empire would rise. Now with this new story, we have no idea what's going on, and I absolutely love that. We shouldn't know what's going on in our story. It should be a secret, and it's going to be awesome sitting in the theater not knowing the end game, because I think that that really adds a lot to the film. You can't really fix that. It's not a problem with the prequels, but it's just something that's awesome for this new film that's coming up. Next, we have new exciting directions, of course, with our first African-American stormtrooper, and what I assume to be Rey being a main character, another female character. I love these. We have a really prominent female villain in the Chrome Trooper, a lot of awesome new advancements, not only in technology but in storytelling. We're going different directions that I really do enjoy. It's nice to shake things up a bit. I don't get the controversy over an African American stormtrooper. I don't get it at all. I don't get the controversy over a main female lead, and I feel like it's actually a very, very smart direction to go, because really audiences might be getting a little bit like, we're so used to like the white male hero, and I love that they're changing that up. So for my last point, I have no political nonsense. The prequels are absolutely bogged down with political nonsense. Episode 3 not so much, but the other two, especially number 1, really is bad at this, and I feel like that's stuff that is just fat on the story and that can be trimmed down as well. I realize that it has to do with the time period of the story, but I feel like it's just better to have our characters kind of say lines of dialogue really quickly rather than getting long political scenes. I realize it's important to get Palpatine in the Emperor's chair, but maybe we can just have 1 or 2 scenes and make it more interesting. Show us behind the scenes of people actually arguing and showing emotion in the political dialogue in the prequels. But yeah, that's just what I think. That's why I think Star Wars Episode 7 is already better than the prequels. Like I said, don't hate the prequels. In fact, I think that Episode 3 is a pretty good movie. So anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys think? Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for daily Star Wars videos, and have a great day.